Here is my latest project. This is an antique dome filled with taxidermied birds. I remember it being in my grandparents' house 60 years ago, and I always admired it. I recently inherited it. I believe this particular display was made by my great-grandmother, probably in the late 1800s. It was a parlor activity. You could order these kits and you get the display and the glass, and they would put them together and then probably display them in their parlors. My job is to clean these up, preen them a little bit, make it look brand new, and proudly display it in my own parlor. These are all basically the cleaning tools I plan on using. I get tired of running through so many Q-tips, so oftentimes I'll just build my own, unroll a cotton ball, and roll it up into the size I want, and it's ready to clean. This bird, an orchard oriole, is the perfect bird to start on. Look how filthy that thing is. I'm going to start off by brushing him off. Oof. Already it looks a lot better. And now a little of my secret formula: distilled water and rubbing alcohol for the final cleaning. Remembering to keep it just barely damp. Trying to smooth out the damaged feathers. Ones that are out of place. He's shaping up real nice. This little guy, a black and white warbler, has had a tough life under glass. I think the replacement glass that he was under for a while was too small and sort of bent the ends of his outside tail feathers. So since I got replacement glass that's a little bigger, I'm going to try and bend those back so they look a little nicer. He's also lost a few of the individual barbules from his feathers. So he's looking a little bit raggedy, but still, I think he's beautiful. This little guy is one of my favorites in here. It's called a budgie. And it's just funny that it's in with all these basically North American, but in any case, all the others are songbirds. Well, almost all of them. And then this guy is like something you'd have for a pet, a little Australian budgie. So apparently the taxidermists tapped anything they could to supply birds for this little hobby. This poor little bluebird is probably the worst because he's had his back straight up into the dust motes. So I can hardly wait to get him cleaned up. It's still got some beautiful blue to him. Lots of dust flying off this little thing. This will be a big change right there. Clean his eyeball off. Oh yeah. I think what may have happened to this poor guy, they stuck a wire through him, probably to hold the wings up, and when they did, I think they came out this way and they shoved a bunch of his wing feathers out, so they've just been hanging there for 100 years. It just doesn't look right. So I'm gonna see if I can sweep them back around, push them up onto that wing where I believe they belong, and puff up all those nice rust-colored ones and make him whole again. Maybe that'll help. Certainly move that wire. Come on. It's coming around. Rats, come on. Come on, baby. Using every tool at my disposal. It looks better, way better already. I'm just working it. I'm just working it. That one unruly feather has been stuck in a bad position for over 100 years. So using a very lightly damp cotton swab, I kind of pushed it into shape, and I'm going to leave that there, let her dry, and see if that won't take some of the reverse bow out of that feather and put it back the way it should be. Now comes the controversial part of my plan. These birds are so old that the colors have just been faded terribly. They're such beautiful birds and usually so eye-catching, and these are sort of drab and dull. So I went out, I did some research and found Prismacolors. Has a wide brush at one end and a sharper point at the other. And just tried some feathers I found in the backyard, and it seems like it's a pretty straightforward process, so I'm moving on. Give it a try. Particularly the tail and the wings of this canary are almost pure white. Light touch, light touch. I think that's much better. Now it's time to make this little beautiful little yellow warbler. Yellow again. Because he's bleached out bad too. Oh yeah. We see them all the time around here. They're such pretty little birds. And they're so yellow they really stand out. That's our boy, just like he's supposed to look. I recently found out this little guy is called a Eurasian bullfinch, which means, of course, it's not from America, but the coloring is supposed to be really spectacular on this buff, orangey stuff, so I'm gonna get after it too. There, I think that looks a little better. And now to work on what is arguably the prettiest bird in this whole thing, which is also the most terrible looking thing at this point. It's the cardinal. He is thin, feathers, lost a lot of feathers, and the ones that are there are terribly bleached out. So we'll see what we can do with him. As I feared, the cardinal is the most difficult because he was such a disaster. The pen was a little too much straight on the feathers. It left streaks. So what I ended up doing was taking a Q-tip and getting a lot of ink on it and sort of using it like a paintbrush. Still, I think it's coming out real pretty. This poor guy, he's seen much better days. But I think we're going to bring him right back to where he needs to be. Next on my agenda is to color the leaves on this. They are washed out and boring looking. So I just bought a palette of watercolors at the hobby store, and I'm using the darkest green I got. Just liven them up a little bit. Well, I've come a long way, what I consider, on this since we first started. We're getting a lot of colors in there. Still, deep in the recesses of this display, my next step, I want to replace all that brown moss. I'm sure it used to be green, but now it's just dead and unattractive. So I did go out and buy some replacement moss. I'm gonna out with the old and in with the new. I dried and posed my own butterflies, and honeybee was probably the hardest part of the whole project. And I still have to glue them on the figure. And here comes my first grand experiment on how to glue a butterfly on here. Contact cement. Come on, baby. And here goes my last butterfly, my final butterfly. Oh, pretty little bee. So, there you have it. My winter's project of transforming a treasured but dilapidated antique heirloom bird parlor dome into a brighter, modern version of itself.
I feel just like a big hooray. My girl loves me, I heard today. A little diggy bird told me so this morning. Came and sat on the windowsill. I was thinking the worst until a little diggy bird told me so this morning. Tweet, 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 sang so sweet. I reached for my hat. Chanced it all, made a call. Now that settles that. Speaking quite on strict duty, wedding bells will ring for me. A little diggy bird told